Hello and welcome to Odds on Europa League match day 5. This is getting interesting. Only one team with all wins, and it's Midtjylland. We are seeing so many surprises in the Europa League. So we have Ronan Murphy, we have Alain Valnegri. Hello, guys, to give you the best tips in the best games on Thursday. So stay with us. We are going to analyze some interesting games. Of course, tell me your tips and don't forget to press the like to subscribe. Let's go on now with the show. Well, and I mentioned Midtjylland, and we are starting from there because they are traveling to Roma. Midtjylland, top of the table, as I said, the only team with 4 wins in 4 games. They beat Celtic in the last game away, beat Maccabi Tel Aviv and Nottingham Forest. So be careful. Roma, Alain, top of the Serie A. This we had to see so many years to see Roma topping the table at this stage of the season. So I can imagine that they are already dreaming. And in Europa League is 6 points since they lost both home games against Viktoria Plzen and Lille.
Yes, it's strange. It's strange to see Roma lose both games at home, because normally at home is Roma, the average of points is really high. The question is, what is the ambition? What is the goal of Roma this season? It's not the Scudetto. It's go back to Champions League. And you have 2 ways. You have the Europa League and you have the Serie A. Right now in Serie A, Roma feel more comfortable. When we analyze both defeat in Europa League, I think both was accident, because against Pilsen they dominate all the game. Against Lille, we remember the history of 3 penalties. And in Glasgow, I think Roma show his ambition, show his personality, and make understand the power of his team. And Roma changed the manager, and with Gasperini, probably every fans of Roma think that beginning of the season, because when we are in the top in Serie A, in Europa League, the most important moment is February, March. And right now there must to change that. Of course, is a good opportunity against the leader. Midtjylland lose his leadership in Denmark in the last weekend after their lose against 𝗀𝗏𝗏. And traveling in Rome is a test for Midtjylland too, no? To understand in a game without the ball, with a physical team, with hostile fans. Yes, this is beautiful game. It's beautiful game. Midtjylland is a team since the beginning of the season only in one team that don't score, against Nordsjælland at the middle of September. Rome, in my opinion, will back to score at home. For that, I choose both teams to score. Odds 1.85.
This is an oddity in Roma's season. They both teams to score, although we saw it in Cremona. And Roma, they have Napoli at home at the weekend, Ronan. So I'm sure they are more looking to this Derby del Sole than to the Europa League game.
Yeah, it's probably an interesting one to see who they might field in this match. But I think Roma should be confident that they can get something from it, despite the fact that, like you both pointed out, that they've lost both their home games so far. And this, like you said, is also one of their routes to the Champions League. So I think they will be kind of optimistic that they can go far in the Europa League this season. And there's no reason why they can't. The way they're playing in Serie A, we've seen that they are a very difficult team to beat. And if they can get their forwards to kind of keep scoring or scoring more goals, then there's no reason why they can't kind of compete on multiple fronts this season, because they do have plenty of strength and plenty of depth in that squad. And Gasperini, as we know, is an excellent coach, so they can kind of upset the apple cart in tournaments, I think, a little this season. So I am confident that this Roma team going forward. I'm more confident now in Evan Ferguson going forward, because he's finally off the mark in Serie A. He scored his first goal after coming off the bench. He's just back from injury. He missed the international break, and that was probably a blessing in disguise for Ireland, because Tripart was able to step up. But yeah, I think Evan Ferguson might be in line to start this one if he's fit enough. And maybe now that he's kind of got that duck off his back, we saw in pre-season he was so kind of effective for Roma. He was kind of getting things quickly. He was looked very sharp, and he kind of, the injuries have kind of knocked him back a little, as again, unfortunately, and maybe being in and out of the team. But I think if he get a good run in the team, or a few kind of starts in a row, maybe we'll see the best of him here. So I think it could be an option if he is to start on Thursday evening, that he could be a good anytime goal scorer bet, 250, because like Alain predicted, I think this could be a game of goals in it. Both teams score, yes, does look good in this one. Roma have scored 2 or more goals in their last 3 games. Midtjylland have scored 2 or more goals in all their Europa League games so far this season. So I think this could be one with goals. So total goals over 2.75 could be another good option at 182.
Well, at Bacha, Roma to win 2-0. This is a banker. Midtjylland is a handicap +2 for 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐿𝐴, so they don't lose by more than 2 goals, or both teams to score. And David, X2. And under 3.5 goals, actually, our AI is going also for X2, is 2.85 if Midtjylland are able to get something from the Olímpico. There you can see the AI smart bet going for corners and for the double chance. Next game is Feyenoord Celtic, both teams in bad shape and in a difficult situation also in the Europa League. Feyenoord, 3 points. They only beat Panathinaikos, but they were quite unlucky with the draw. They lost to Stuttgart, Aston Villa, and Braga, and even more surprisingly, they lost to NEC Nijmegen and 𝐬𝐿 recently in the Eredivisie. Whereas Celtic, we are seeing the Scottish teams, Ronan, struggling this season. For them, it's 4 points. So 2 teams that need the win to qualify at least for the playoffs.
Yeah, of course, and Celtic at the moment, it must be pointed out, are in the middle of a kind of managerial change. Martin O'Neill came in as caretaker coach for a few games there, but they now have a new man in charge coming from MLS. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how they adapt to the new coach. I think Celtic fans are very excited to see what Lancey can bring to the team. So it'll be interesting to see, but playing against Feyenoord this week would be a tricky task, because they do tend to look good usually at home. I know they lost Aston Villa, obviously, but they beat Panathinaikos in their last home game. They look very comfortable in that match. I like the look at their attack. They seem to be firing kind of on all cylinders. When they are in form, they can get plenty of goals. So Celtic as well, they as we mentioned in the last match, they lost to Midtjylland as well in their last away game. They lost 3-1. They only picked up a point against Red Star in their other away game, so they haven't necessarily been as good on the road as they had been at home, and that's kind of to be expected from Celtic, because we know Celtic Park is such a difficult place to go. But Celtic, sometimes when they go away, especially in these European trips, they don't kind of show the same level of ability or the level of play that we might see from them at home, especially playing against teams in Scotland, where they often have a lot of possession. And this will be a different type of game where they will have to kind of try and find a possession. They'll have to press more maybe than they're used to in the Scottish League, so it could be quite difficult for them. But that might lead to an open-ended game. It's been both teams to score yes in 5 of Feyenoord's last 6 games in all competitions. So both teams to score yes could be a good option for this one at 165. But as viewers of the show probably know, I'm not the most confident when it comes to watching Celtic, so I'm going to go for a Feyenoord win at 171.
All right, 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐿𝐴 going for a draw here. Celtic are horrendous. Yeah, indeed, Alain, Celtic are not well, but it's surprising also the defeats seen by Feyenoord recently in their domestic league. And I was checking the odds for NEC and for 𝐬𝐿 and was 7 for each of them to beat Feyenoord.
Yes, it passed that one with a young squad, and Feyenoord is already a new project right now, with Van Persie in the bench to try to play with a lot of young talent, and the list is really large. And now they suffer some injury player. I think 𝐿𝐵𝐴 in Beom, the Korean midfielder. is out in the was out in the last 3 games. Is a balance for the midfield of Feyenoord, this experienced player, both the Australian young defender. Yeah, he has a lot of injury, and with young player, sometimes you have some bug. No, you have some bad streaks, 3, 4, 5 games. Feyenoord is built to score a lot. It's built to offer offensive football, and when we check the last game against Nijmegen, is 𝗀𝗵𝗀 can be worried because in transition they concede a lot. They have the possession of the ball, but they concede so much, and they deserve to lose this game. Now they must to have a strong reaction. Is a good moment to cut that bad streak, but especially in front of Celtic. Celtic in the last 20 years when they played away is one of the poorest average of point win. Celtic away and Celtic at home is probably was one of the most bipolar team in Europe. And yes, they've changed the manager. You see some improvement, but in Midtjylland we saw the classical or the historical limit of Celtic when they played away. Midtjylland really superior, and in my opinion, Feyenoord has something more. Playing in the 𝗀𝗵𝗀 is always delicate for every team. Celtic suffer when they played in away, that lose in Feyenoord 2 years ago 2-0. For that reason, I choose double chance 1x with over 2.5 goals, odds 2.00.
Okay, Helmet is also going for Feyenoord here. He even says to go Asian handicap for this game. Next one is Porto Nice. Here the odds for Porto are quite low, actually 1.47 points, so they have a good chance to finish in the top 8. They are one of the favorites to win this competition, 7 points, because they drew with Utrecht and lost to Nottingham Forest. So now, Alain, they should beat Nice, having a very poor season. They lost all 4 games with both teams to score. European competitions are not made for Nice.
No, it's a limit. It's a big limit, clearly. And the team play the playoff and lose against another Portuguese team like Benfica in last summer. And yes, Nice has not only problem in Europa League, because in the last four defeat, a lot of limits. It's true, Nice is able to score because they score against Marseille in Metz and at home against Freiburg. But in my opinion, the vestry is not in a good symphony with the manager, because something they lose the fire, because 𝗀𝐻𝐻 is a really intense manager, and he asked that one to his team, and he's lose intensity, lose solidarity, lose concentration, and between the line we saw a team really large in the field. And against Porto, warning, Porto lose only against Nottingham and 2 draw against Utrecht in Europa League, against Benfica when they deserve to win the game, and except that they win every game, and they arrive with a good moment in the last weekend. Porto play in Cup of Portugal. They can make relax some people, some player. Porto is really favorite. I am surprised about the odds, because I think the difference between both teams is bigger than the odds offer. I choose Porto winning with over 2.5 goals in the game, odds 2.15.
Okay, perhaps this is the Asian handicap chance, Ronan, for Porto.
Yeah, looking at these so far, they have not been very good in any competition or anywhere. Whereas Porto, we know domestically they are very good, they're a very sound team. They're usually quite reliable. But I think the only kind of main concern for me for any bet like that is the fact that Porto, they haven't been kind of really going wild in front of goal. They haven't been scoring huge amounts. They're happy enough to win matches, but they're not necessarily to win big in these matches, even against some of the rivals in the Portuguese league or the cup, where you might expect them to be heavy favourites. If you look at the odds for this one, they really are heavy favourites again here. So I think they'd just be happy enough to win, since they only have 7 points so far, and they will be looking to kind of avoid the playoffs. So if they can win here, they'll be happy enough for their home crowd. The main kind of thing that I'm not saying Porto are going to win this massively is because each of their last 6 games have all had 3 or fewer goals in them, and these teams, they've only scored 4 goals each in the Europa League so far, so they haven't really been showing us, Nice especially, but Porto also haven't been showing us that they can be a team that maybe puts other teams or weaker opponents to the sword. So I think the Nice, you can't look at them to do anything here in this one. I think it could be a low scoring affair. Unlike Alain said, I think Gerald in the comments, he sees under 2.5 goals. I'm looking at under 2.75 goals at 184. But I do think Porto will win, and perhaps safer than that. And it could tie in if Porto win 2-1 or 3-0. It could be perfect for both me and Alain. Porto win and under 3.5 goals. I like to look at that one at 210.
Okay, Nureddin, Porto is in handicap -2, or 𝐶𝐞𝐿 Porto to win 2-0, and we have another comment going for under 2.5 goals. Well, this should be one-sided for Porto. They need the 3 points also to finish in the top 8. And now we have Viktoria Plzen, Freiburg, 8 points for Plzen, doing a great European campaign, beating Roma, beating Malmo, and with draws against Fenerbahce and Ferencváros. In the Czech league is not their best moment, actually. But here we have Freiburg as favorites. Ronan, they have 10 points, so directly going into the top 8, and I guess they want to forget the defeat against Bayern Munich, but this can happen in the best families.
Yeah, of course. And any game against Bayern Munich is going to be very difficult. And you thought there for a moment when they were beating Bayern Munich 2-0, and you look back to before the international break when Bayern weren't able to beat Union Berlin, that maybe Freiburg would get something from it, but then Bayern Munich turned up and were Bayern Munich and they won 6-2. So if you just take the first 20 minutes of the game, the first half an hour of the game, I think Freiburg fans can just watch that and forget the rest of the match happened, and they should be happy enough. But yeah, Freiburg, they have been a quite entertaining team, which we haven't been used to, especially in the Christian Streich era from a few years ago from Freiburg. But they have kind of put in entertaining matches recently. Before the 6-2 defeat to Bayern Munich, they had wins of 3-1 and 2-1. So this is a team that is scoring goals no matter the opponent, and it is a team that can score goals again here against Plzen. Plzen have been quite good so far in the tournament, 8 points. I think they'd be happy enough with that kind of collection of points so far, but they have no wins in 3 games in all competitions. So they're coming into this match, even though it's a home match, kind of in a bit of bad form, whereas Freiburg, they'll be looking to bounce back after that defeat to Bayern Munich, but I don't think it will affect their morale or confidence too much, because nobody ever expects to get anything from Bayern Munich in Germany, and especially not this season anyway. So yeah, the last 2 results for Plzen were a 5-3 loss and a 3-3 draw, so they are conceding lots of goals at the moment. So for this one, I'm going for the goals market. I think it's the best way to look, because these 2 teams are teams playing out entertaining matches at the moment. Not saying for definite that Freiburg are going to win, but total goals over 2.5 looks really good at 2.
Okay, Len, your take here. You also see goals?
Yeah, it's difficult to predict because Pilsen in the last 4 or 5 seasons, it was a team really defensive, concede really not a lot of goals, and this season they have a problem. But it's true that they score more. Something changed with the model of play. We saw a little more of creativity in this team now, against a team like Freiburg. My opinion, Freiburg is a very good team. in Bundesliga. Difficult to move. The game against Bayern Munich for me is an accident, and every team in Bundesliga suffer accident against Bayern Munich, and except that only one game lose against Leverkusen, and after that we must to go back to the end of August to see Freiburg lose a game. It's true there are the tendency to do a draw. We saw in Bologna, for example, a team able to catch a really good draw away. There must to have the initiative in against Pilsen. Pilsen is dangerous in transition, and for this game I choose the draw from the week. Pilsen Freiburg draw odds 3.60.
Also, 𝐿𝐵𝐴 is going for a draw in this game. Helmet or Nureddin. Both teams to score. Freiburg beat Nice, Utrecht, and Basel. And our next game is actually Basel traveling to Belgium. Genk, Basel. Genk 7 points, Basel 6. So it's very interesting this game with both teams probably going into the playoffs. Genk beat Braga and Rangers away, but haven't won at home. Despite this, Alain, they are the favorites, but I guess this is also a tough one to call.
Yeah, balance. What is the we can analyze about the form of the moment. We can analyze to the quality of both team in individual analysis. The results in the last 5, the results against team weaker. In my opinion, Genk, when they played in the last week, when they played against weaker team to him at home, I speak about Mechelen, Molenbeek, La Louvière, Dender. They suffer a little in the last game. They lose against Mechelen. Genk is a project always play working really well with young talent. Now in the table in Belgium, I miss something sincerely, because the last game against Mechelen or Malines make me thinking about the project, because Genk, when the things are not doing really well, stay out of the super playoff in Belgium with the top 6, and right now the team is out of the playoff. Maybe that they're missing something with personality this season. Basel have that personality, because Basel, I showed some doubt at the beginning of the season, but we saw Basel when Shaqiri is on fire. Basel is another team, and Shaqiri in Europe normally is ultra motivated. And Shaqiri, in my opinion, is the player can make the difference in this game. For that reason, I choose double chance X2 odds 1.87.
For sure, Ronan, there is some value in the away team to favorite Genk probably here for the bookies.
Yeah, I think so. They haven't been that. Genk hasn't not been that impressive so far. Home in the Europa League, they've won and lost to Feyenoord, and then a 0-0 draw with Betis. So they only picked up 1 point at home. So they haven't really justified those odds that they are getting of being the favourite here. And I think you have to look at Basel, like Alain said, they do have more personality, and obviously Shaqiri is a big part of that. He has been excellent, I think, this season for them, and a huge reason why they kind of look kind of more fierce than they usually do, perhaps, and we might see more of that in Europe as well as the Europa League goes on. And Genk, I think they might have one mind on domestic football. Maybe that's kind of more important to them this season necessarily than the European campaign. And as that goes on, because they are struggling, like Alain said, so this could be one where it kind of feeds into Basel. And if you look at the I did yesterday when I was preparing for today's show, I looked at the smart bet. It was given 5 stars for a Basel win at that time, and unless they've been fed, the AI has been fed more 1s and 0s since then. That does look like a good option to go for Basel to win at 380. I think that could be a very favourable want to look at, because Genk, they've been struggling so far. And Basel, they are capable of picking up points against Genk, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do. So that's why I agree with Alain fully on this one. And my main bet is a Basel double chance. Yeah, I think Basel can get something in this match.
Okay, draw also possible. 𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿 is saying, so also your double chance if there is a draw is correct. We have high odds in this show because, yeah, we chose some games that are really balanced. Not the next one, Maccabi Tel Aviv, Lyon. Here, the away team Lyon are super favorites. Still, the odds are good. 9 points lost to Betis only in Europe, but in Liga they are in a delicate moment. Maccabi 1 point, almost no options, and even losing to Dinamo Zagreb, Midtjylland drew with PAOK. Well, Ronan, even if Lyon are not in their best, I guess you should back them.
Yeah, I think that has to be the way to look here, because Maccabi Tel Aviv, they have not been great so far in Europe this season. They've only scored 1 goal so far, and they're coming up against one of the teams with the best defences in the competition. So Lyon have only conceded twice. So that doesn't really bode very well for Maccabi's chances. They lost 2-0 to Aston Villa last time they played Europa League, and then they followed that up with a terrible result in the Israeli Premier League. They lost 6-2. So this is not a team kind of in great form at the moment. Lyon, I know they're having domestic struggles, obviously, like you said, but they can kind of put them in the background and come away with 3 points here. I think should be confident of doing that, and maybe even confident of getting a clean sheet. They held 𝐜𝐭𝐴Z𝐵 scoreless at the weekend to pick up a point away. That was a good defensive performance for them. And they've had both teams to score no in 3 of their last 4 games in all competitions. So Lyon to win, obviously they scored at 182. Lyon to win to 0 could be a better option at 3. You want to think that they can keep clean sheet and win the match, but both teams to score no might be a safer one if you want to go for that at 199.
Lyon to win for 𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿, and both teams to score in this case. The opposite, Alain?
But for Lyon is a good opportunity to cut his bad streak. Lyon is not in a good moment. I think the team miss something in the squad, miss deepness. They don't have 18, 20 players to play both competition, and yes, they need energy right now. In January, probably 2, 3 or 4 players will be seen in Lyon, and they need it. And until that, Lyon must to try to some point. Now against Maccabi is in my opinion, they're really favorite. They play in a field where they don't will be suffer hostile ambient, and normally Maccabi Tel Aviv, when they lose the possession of the ball, Maccabi lose the game. Is since the beginning of the season is chronicle that. Except in PAOK, in Salonique, they catch a draw, but they suffer all the game, and there was lucky to catch a point. Now in Lyon, will be attacked a lot. They found some space, and when Lyon have space, we can wait goals. And for that reason, I choose the market of goals over 2.75 goals, odds 2.07.
Okay, let's move to the next one. Here also we have great odds, Rangers, Braga, and again, I guess we should look at the away team. 9 points for Braga, always doing good in Europe. They only lost to Genk, actually 3-4, but they beat Red Star, Celtic, and Feyenoord without conceding a single goal. But especially Alain, we have to back Braga because they are playing against Rangers. 0 points is one of the worst seasons that we can remember, and they played in this Europa League against Brann or Sturm Graz. It's not that they had a very tough schedule.
Yes, it's difficult to understand the mood in the Rangers, because Rangers this season start bad and go worst. Right now, is a moment with 2 victory in a streak. Is not so common to see Rangers have that type of streak, but is in Scottish Premier League. Now in Europe, Rangers need point because he's the only team with Nice without points. 0 point in 4 games, only 1 goal scored, 8 received for Rangers. It's difficult to do the things worst. And Braga arriving in a comfortable position. Braga is 5 in the table. Braga pass in Portuguese Cup the last weekend. In my opinion, the motivation, the grade of motivation is for Rangers. Is another manager start to working with the team. Now is important or necessary to win the game. And in my opinion, Rangers will catch a positive results. I choose a double chance, 1x with 1.5 goals in the game, odds 1.92.
Okay, surprise indeed, since the bookies trust Braga, Ronan.
I do not trust Rangers at all, but also I didn't trust Celtic earlier, so I mustn't trust Scottish teams at all in European competition. Maybe that's something on me. I don't trust the Irish teams to do too well at the Conference League most Thursday evenings either, so I should be straight about that too. But yeah, Rangers, they've only scored once, so it's not like they look great. They've kind of, to get a fall on the manager to turn things around, they kind of asked everybody in Europe would they be interested before they kind of found someone. So yeah, it's not the prettiest place to be at the moment. It's not the most appealing job for coaches. It's probably not the most attractive place for players to go. Whereas Braga, I think they're a bit on the up and up. The only loss they've had in the Europa League was a 4-3 thriller, so it was a fantastic game. And so even the matches that they're losing, or the one match they lost, they were able to score a few times. So they should be able to score goals here against Rangers. They've had 3 wins to 0. Rangers have had 3 defeats without scoring. A Braga win looks really appealing to me at 235, so I'm going to go against Alain. But I don't think this one is going to be a thriller because Rangers are struggling to score. Braga, they'll be happy enough to get out with points or 3 points or a point maybe. So total goals under 2.5 could be an option in this one, 191. I'm not expecting a thriller because what I've seen from Rangers so far this season in Scotland and in Europe, they are not giving us that no matter the opponent. They are not putting on entertaining spectacles. They are not an appealing team to watch at the moment. They're very much in transition. So we'll see how that goes. So if you're to combine them, Braga win and under 2.5 goals or something like 7, I think. But a bit safer perhaps is Braga win and under 3.5 goals is 3.
All right, you don't trust then Shelbourne or Shamrock Rovers, no, in the conference, both with 1 point?
No, I think that it helps Irish teams get into Europe. The fact that the League of Ireland has a summer season, I think then in the qualifying rounds, the players are fitter. They're kind of coming in and they're used to playing competitive matches where everyone else is only kind of in their pre-season. But when you get to November time, the League of Ireland is over. So it's like being back in pre-season. They don't have matches at the weekend. They only have these matches to look forward to. So it's harder to pick up points. So yeah, I think it's kind of a catch-22 situation. It helps Irish teams get into Europe, which is obviously great for money, but then it's harder to get points when you are there.
Well, and the last game is Betis Utrecht. Here we have Betis, of course, really favorite, waiting the derby. They have the big derby against Sevilla next weekend without Anthony, by the way. And we saw Isco getting his contract extended with a great announcement by the crowd. They couldn't beat Girona, though. At the weekend, they have 8 points in Europe, so they could go easily if they win here, and they are favorites to the top 8, Ronan. This is the goal, of course.
Yeah, obviously Betis should be the favourites in this one. We've seen such kind of exciting attacking players from them, and the way Anthony's playing this season, and it's great to see Isco get an extension because I think he said as well that his dream is to win a trophy while he's there, so that's why he's staying around. And yeah, it would be incredible, obviously, if they were to maybe go all the way in this competition and pick up a trophy. So Yeah, Utrecht they should be looking at as someone that they can beat. They've only got 1 point so far in the tournament, but they are on a good streak themselves domestically. They've 4 games unbeaten, 2 of those were draws. Betis have had 5 games unbeaten in all competitions, so they themselves are on a good run. So I think both teams could extend those runs if there were draws. 2 draws in a row in La Liga Betis have had. The 4 draws that the two teams have had between them, all of those have been 1-1 draws. So correct score 1-1. I've had a look at for this one. That's 11. And I think this one, Alain is probably going to disagree with me in a second and say Betis are definitely going to win. But I think this one could be a draw. So those odds are really appealing to me at 5.75.
Okay, Alain going to spy on Betis next weekend to see the derby, Alain.
And I go to the stadium to watch Betis Utrecht. Maybe I can say something to the player. Ronan said it's a draw, guys. But yeah, interesting to watch Betis playing is always a pleasure because it's really offensive. The technical level is really high. Isco is back. Anthony will not play the derby for a unnecessary red card, but he will be motivated for this game. Yeah, Utrecht is a team want to play. It's a team want to play. We saw the signs at the beginning of the competition. Is a 4-3-3. Is really a Dutch school team. And normally when they find team like Betis who wanna play, normally the game are funny with a lot of goals. Betis this season, curiously, they lose only 2 games, but at home. They don't play in its natural stadium in Villamarin. They're playing in La Cartuja because they are made a reform there in his historical field. Yes, I don't take this risk like Ronan, but everything is possible in football. I choose both teams to score with over 2.5 goals, odds 2.40.
Okay, goals here, Betis to win and both teams to score for 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐴. Betis to win is 2-0 is also possible for Nureddin. Our smart bet is telling us goals under 3.5 goals. Odds are 1.5 with Utrecht. Only 1 point and 1 goal scored in this Europa League. There you go. You can check the predictions tab and the smart bet, the double chance for Utrecht. It's audacious, this AI, indeed. It's not like the other one that always
Dutch.
You are correct. This
The
one
AI is Dutch. It's not possible.
ChatGPT always tells you, yeah, good
Dutch,
idea.
yes.
You are right. But the smart bet, no, it's the opposite, actually. We like it in this way. Well, guys, remember we have our tipster competitions going on. Already November is gone. Last month of the year 2025 in December. There you go. Another Ukrainian guy. I don't know if it's the same, but the Ukrainians are getting all the money from Oddspedia, winning every month the tipster competitions. We have a yearly one, by the way, so we can check actually. Another Ukrainian guy, of course, if they win always the monthly ones, they are leading the yearly ones. And rivals, where you can create your own tipster competition. Also, there are some money in the prize pool there. Well, let's go with your safe bet, Ronan.
Yeah, I go for Plzen Freiburg over 1.25 goals, and that's 120.
And Alain?
Aston Villa Young Boys, Aston Villa winning with over 1.5 goals, odds 1.33.
This is also a good game indeed, but the odds, I believe, were low for Aston Villa, only 1.24. Yeah. And the ACCA, Alain?
Feyenoord Celtic 1x over 2.5 goals, Porto Nice 1 with over 2.5 goals, and Nottingham Forest Malmo over 1.75 goals for a total 5.16.
And I watched the other day, actually, Liverpool, Nottingham Forest, great striker Igor Jesus. Great quality up front, indeed. And Ronan, your ACCA?
My ACCA is Plzen Freiburg again, so over 2.5 goals this time, and Lyon to win for a total of 364.
Okie dokie, easy double. Thank you, Ronan. Thank you, Alain. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.